So, with my still growing love of Warhammer 40k lore, I thought I'd just do a fun whatever video, just talking about my favorite faction. Now, it's no secret that, well, actually, I don't think any of you guys knew that my favorite faction of, if we're going to talk about Space Marines, because everyone has a favorite faction of Space Marines. Like, regardless of who your favorite faction is, when someone asks, who's your favorite Space Marine chapter? Oh, it's that group. That's what you're going to get. And that is the Salamanders for me. And maybe I'll do a video of why I like the Salamanders so much in some time. But I thought I'd talk about my favorite alien, and my favorite faction of all of Warhammer. And that's the Necrons. And I know someone's already going to make, like, ooh, you know, disloyalty to the God Emperor detected and whatnot. I know someone's going to, one of you guys are going to make a video on that, or a comment like that. I'm already aware. But I just thought I'd do a fun video talking about why the Necrons have basically become my favorite faction in Warhammer. Like, it's weird, too, because I'm like, oh, Necrons, they're over there. Keep in mind, I'm still learning about Warhammer, and I've watched so many videos, especially from like guys like Wes Hammer, talking about the lore and whatnot. But even like he stated, there is no way that, you know, you could watch 100 videos, you could read 100 books. There's still no way you could ever fully understand all of the lore of the Warhammer franchise. So yeah, I still have a lot of reading to do and stuff like that. So, you know, keep that in mind. I'm still learning. Anyway, so let's talk about why I love these angry old men. And that's kind of the best way to describe Necrons, right? Like, that's just the easiest way to describe a Necron, is when they do stuff like, yeah, because it basically comes down to, and yes, it's not like, I'm not excluding like the destroyer cults and the ones that go in crazy and take people's skin and try to eat flesh. But for the most part, most Necrons are basically, hey, you kids, get off my lawn! Because they were the original species, and now they want their planet back. That was a tomb world. They wake up and see just people living on their planet, and they're just like, hey, who said you could live here? Not me. I'm the tenant. That's, first off, that's a lot of fun, of having like this old race that basically just went into hibernation after fighting what is known as the War in Heaven. You know, basically killing gods, and then went, all right, everybody, go to sleep now. That's just a lot of fun for me. I also love the fact that they're basically robot Egyptians. That's one of the another way to best describe it, is that they're just more or less robot Egyptians. I love Egyptian mythology, and some of my favorite villains and other characters are robots. I mean, obviously, if you were to ask my favorite Marvel villain, Ultron. Probably one of my favorite DC villains, Brainiac. All of them are machine-based, and, you know, same thing with, like, I like the Cybermen. The Daleks are my favorite, but Cybermen are number 2. I always have that thing of, like, machine villains are always cool, because, like, it's kind of, like, they're almost like an inevitability that we may become, you know, and it's becoming more and more prevalent that we're moving towards that assimilation. You know, it's the same thing with, like, I Love the Borg. Things like that the Necrons represent that whole thing of, like, moving past, you know, your flesh and becoming steel, but there's clear consequences to it. Because while they pretend like, oh yeah, this is fine, this is totally 100% okay, there's clearly a level of, I want like, it's like that meme of, like, upgrade, fuck, go back. That's how a lot of the Necrons see it. But yeah, I just love the perfect aesthetic of, like, Egyptian-inspired designs mixed with cybernetic technology. I love, I absolutely adore that. So yeah. Now, the other reason why I really love the Necrons is probably because they have some of my favorite characters so far. Like, it's no secret, and I've told you guys before, Trazyn the Infinite is my favorite Warhammer character. He's become, Trazyn the Infinite has become my favorite Warhammer character. If we're going to look at other ones, like, actually, I probably won't do a top 10 list, because I'll find another character I latch on to. But, like, right behind him is Caiaphas Cain, so use that, look at that how you will as me as a Warhammer fan. Right? Trazyn the Infinite, then second favorite's Caiaphas Cain. If that gives you any indication. Anyway, so that's so Trazyn the Infinite, again, he's like Brainiac if he had like more of a person, if he had like a, like, I'm just doing this because it's fun, and also like, again, I've talked about it before, like putting a headcanon to the voice. Basically, like, my headcanon for that voice is Jeffrey Combs for Trazyn. Most of you guys would know best as like the voice of the Question from Justice League Unlimited, as well as Herbert West, the Reanimator. There you go. But yeah, and not like, but there are other characters too that I've come to love from the Necrons. Those being like Oricon, Trazyn's rival. They're just two angry old men who hate each other. And then you have Emotech the Stormlord. Like, that's such a badass name also, Emotech. If there wasn't already an indication about their voices, or like where their inspiration comes from, right? And again, I really like the fact that like there's also the big guy in charge known as the Silent King. And there's a lot of great like exploration of the lore and how their hierarchy works. It's very fascinating. Like, I know originally like they were meant to be like this silent like robot zombie army, but have gotten character of development throughout. So I really like that. I really like they've gone from this nameless robot terror to, oh yeah, a lot of them are just a bunch of vain assholes who just are just angry old men who want everyone off their lawn. They're not like they're not trying to be like Brainiac, and the one guy who is trying to be like Brainiac has a fucking personality to him. So yeah, the more I read about them, the more I learned about them, the more I'm like, yeah, the Necrons are my favorite. So yeah, I just thought I'd do this video talking about it. I don't know why, I just felt like it. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of the Necrons, and what are your favorite faction? What is your favorite faction in Warhammer? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.